Okay, Josie, you're good to go.
Hi everyone. This is another a Meet Your Admin interview. So let's get started. Um, what brought you to Skyline?
Hi, Josie. What grade are you in, Josie?
I'm in ninth grade.
You're in that. Oh my gosh, welcome to Skyline. Let's see, what brought me to Skyline? Well, I've been teaching in Oakland Unified for a long time, around 20 years, but some of those years were part-time. I was in different schools in Oakland, and I actually had never even been up to Skyline at all until I came for my interview. So I was at Life Academy and other schools as well in the district, and always down in the flats. I've never been up in any of the hill schools at all. So what happened was I was a teacher on special assignment for a number of years, and that means that you're still a teacher, but you're not teaching a class. So I was doing that at a school called Oakland International School. It was a new school and it was very exciting. But then after 5 years of that, I wanted to get back to because that school served all recent immigrants, 100% recent immigrants, and like 30% refugees. After that experience, I had so much fun there helping to build the school from the ground up because it was a brand new school. I wanted to get back to the regular Oakland population. So I did my research, and I also wanted to get back to teaching science, which was my teaching subject before I went to be a TSA. So I wanted to get back to those two things. And so I did my research and I ended up at Skyline. That's how I ended up here.
Describe the best teacher you've ever had and why.
It can be anything like either college or high school or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had a lot of good teachers and a lot of not so good teachers. I guess one thing I would say, one that is very memorable to me is a teacher from my elementary school, believe it or not. I grew up in Maryland, up on the other side of the country, and I feel like we did project based learning before it was even a thing, before it was a word, because we were doing these projects that were big and integrated. And when I say integrated, I mean we were doing math and history and art. And I remember doing a huge one on whales. So the entire sixth grade class would build a massive whale, like a life size model of a whale. And then we put on a play about whaling and we read stories. So it was like integrated projects before it was, project based learning before it was a buzzword. It was so cool. And every sixth grade year did it. My big sisters did it ahead of me, and everybody looked forward to it every year.
Um, when did you decide that you wanted to work with youth?
Um, what a great question. I Teaching was something that I had in my mind for a long time before I did it because it's actually my second career. My first career was in a research was in a laboratory, a science lab, and I worked for a lot of years actually, the better part of my 20s in biotechnology, and I loved it. I was always in the lab, and I worked right here in the Bay Area. We're very lucky because we have a really hot spot for great science right around us. But the whole time I was working, I kind of thought I wanted to try teaching. So it was something that was always in the back of my mind. And then, but it was so easy and fun for me. My job was pretty low key compared to, like I just worked on my own basically. It was really super fun. But I slowly started volunteering. Like I volunteered at Oakland Tech in a biotech classroom with actually a teacher that ended up at Skyline, Dr. LaCourte. If anyone remembers Dr. LaCourte, I actually was a volunteer in his class and I did I did a lab with his students. So I kind of slowly got into it that way. And then I did my student teaching in Oakland. And then I ended up teaching at the same school, Fremont High School, that I did my student teaching in. And I had a great first year because I found some supportive teachers around me. And if I hadn't found them within my first year of teaching, I'll never forget that. And I had a great first year, which not a lot of people can say sometimes when you go into teaching, because it's really hard and it's stressful and it's a lot of work. But I actually had a great couple of years there, and that's why I stayed.
Who is a leader that you look up to?
Who's a leader? Any kind of leader at all
Yeah.
in any field? Um, I think when I think of a leader, one person that comes to mind is my old dance teacher who still dances. And the reason why she comes to mind as a great leader to me is I've always really, really admired the way she saw a need for a certain type of dance studio in Oakland, which she started. This was years and years ago. She started a dance studio on Park Boulevard in Oakland. It was called Luna, a dance world, and it still exists. And she filled a niche that was going unfulfilled, a place where young people could go take workshops in choreography and take work, and a place where teachers could go learn how to infuse the dance with their regular curriculum. And she also gave workshops for young people in improvisation and choreography, which I took. And so she saw a need, and it's no longer there in the same way. So it's just really cool to me that she saw a certain need to fulfill 10 or 15 years of that work, and then she can move on to morphing her company, Luna, a dance world, into something totally different. It's just, I've always admired that about her leadership.
Um, was there a worse job that what was the worst job that you've ever had?
I have actually been very, very lucky and blessed to have had no, I cannot think of a single worst job that I've ever had because I feel really lucky that I've always enjoyed the people I work with and have enjoyed getting up and going to work. I'm a little bit weird that way. I know a lot of people that don't feel that way, but I just feel really like every single job I've had has been kind of fun for me at the same time. And so that even begins. I used to work in fast food. My first job was at Wendy's, and we opened a new store in Wendy's. This is in Southern California. They're the ones with the square hamburgers. And even that job, it was fun because I got to go hang out with my friends and um, so I've just been really lucky. I really can't think of any job that I've had that. Oh, one desk job for one summer in college. I went back to my biotech job, and I did have a cubicle job where I had to sit in a cubicle and look at papers all day. And yeah, that was terrible. That was 6 months. I hated it. I got paid, but I hated it.
Um, you kind of already answered this, but where did you grow up and how does it compare to Oakland?
I grew up in the East Coast in Maryland until I was in junior high school, and we moved out when I was like almost 13 to Southern California, and it's really different from Oakland in that it's this pretty much suburban and not as diverse as Oakland at all. I was one of just like a few Asian kids in my middle school and high school. And we had a large Latino population down in Southern California, and then the rest were just white, really, primarily. So it was pretty different, very, very different, in my opinion, very different. And I would never really go back there. I didn't really enjoy, like that area, and I never really, particularly was in love with that whole section of California.
What would you consider is home?
What I consider home is just wherever my family is, probably. I have two kids and a husband, and so wherever they are probably is my home. I also have a mom, and my dad passed away, but I have a mom and three sisters, and we're all spread out. So that's kind of hard. So I'm always kind of between my own immediate family and my family of origin feels I feel split. I feel bad that I can't see my mom as often. She's in Southern California and she's in her 80s, so that's kind of hard. So I do feel like she's also home wherever she is. So, and I have a twin sister as well, and my twin lives in Colorado. We're all so far apart. This is what happens sometimes, not always, but sometimes when you're older and you and your siblings all live far apart, it's not that easy. Although it is easier now with Facebook, I mean with FaceTime and texting and phone calls, we can stay a lot more together a lot easier, but it is, you know, I'm really spread out with my family of origin, which is sometimes tough for me.
How do you like to eat your chicken wings? Or how spicy do you like to eat your chicken wings?
I'm a person who likes a little kick, not a ton so that it overtakes the chicken wing, but a little kick of spices. I like it. And I like it with ranch dressing.
Um,
And I
what
love chicken wings.
what makes you smile?
What makes me smile is comedy, movies, spending time with my kids. I don't get to do that much because they're kind of grown and they don't love to hang out with their mom as much anymore. Although my daughter's kind of coming around again, but that makes me smile.
What is your most used emoji?
I'm really into the different colored hearts, and it is not uncommon that I'll send a text to someone and put a row of purple, green, yellow, black, red hearts.
Um, what what are your quarantine must-haves, as in like shows or food or
Quarantine must-haves, shows and foods. Let's see. Right now, my foods are coffee for sure in the morning. I have cups and cups of coffee. I cannot believe I used to get up so early to go to Skyline. I used to get up sometimes at 5:45 or 6, and I am not a morning person at all. So these days, I do not get out of bed until until after 7, sometimes even 7:30, and I will have coffee for the good part of the morning and basically not even have breakfast until way later. So I've been really bad. And in the afternoon, I like to have a cup of chai spiced tea with after my lunch with some snacks. Those are my quarantine must-haves. And my snacks would be like I'm a big chip person, and because I like the salt and I like the grease, so that's my vice. And right now, I do love my Netflix in the evenings and sometimes late at night.
um what would you say is your favorite sandwich and why?
I'm not a big sandwich person. I don't know why. No one in my family is. My twin sister hates sandwiches. It's really funny, and so do her kids. Um, my only sandwich that I do like is I like a good salami and Swiss with mustard and tomatoes and a little bit of onion. But that's the sandwich I'll have if I have one.
Um, if the world went back to normal starting tonight, what would you do?
If we could all go on like there was no pandemic, I would probably go visit my mom first, and maybe go out and see my sister in Colorado. And I would definitely see family, and I would definitely go out to eat. I haven't been doing that at all.
What is the first thing you do in the morning?
Get my coffee. I lay in bed and wait for a pot to be made, and then I get up once it's made, and I get that first thing.
Um, who would you love to see in a concert, like perform?
Well, um, one of my favorite all-time bands who actually sometimes do play, but they're very expensive, is Fleetwood Mac. And I will pay any money to see them again because I don't think that they're going to be around that much longer. Um, and I will pay, but no, I have to get someone to go with me, and nobody wants to pay. But maybe my daughter will come, but that would mean that I'd have to pay for her too. So I don't know, but I would definitely go see. I would see them again because they're one of my favorite all time. I would go see. I'm kind of a rock girl, and so I would go see some of my classic people before they all get old and die.
If you were a dog, what dog breed would you be?
I would probably be a German Shepherd. I love German Shepherds, even though I had a collie growing up. I love collies too. I like big dogs. But we had a German Shepherd next to us growing up that I'll never forget. His name was Colonel Clink. We called him Clinker for short, and he was mellow and big and beautiful. And so I would be a German Shepherd.
Um, who would you want to have lunch with if they were dead or alive?
Who would I want to have lunch with if they were either dead or alive? There's a lot of people I would want to have lunch with. Um, I didn't see that question. One that pops into mind right now is Trevor Noah, because I just started reading his book, and he is probably one of my all-time favorite people that I have to get a little dose of Trevor Noah probably every day. Um, I just think he's so smart and so funny and so on point. So I would probably like to have lunch with him. And another person that just kind of pops to mind because I never get to see her and have lunch with her is my twin sis, who I miss a lot. And I would probably have lunch with her if I could.
Um, if you had to pick one, would you rather listen to podcasts or music?
I'm getting into podcasts a little bit. I don't listen to as many as some people do, so I would probably pick music because it's more my thing right now. But I know there's some amazing podcasts out there. I need to find some good ones.
Um, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Just coffee. Actually, I'm terrible, Josie. I didn't eat anything. And when I'm at school and running around, I definitely would have eaten by now. Usually if I bring my lunch, I've usually eaten it already by now. Either I do that at like 9 or 10, or I'll go all the way till 2 and not even eat anything and then eat my lunch. I'm not very good with my eating habits, but at home here, since the shelter, I've just been like drinking a coffee and then having lunch really late, having like my lunch really late, like at 1 or 12 or something like that. So I have not eaten anything. And sometimes I'll even have really bad stuff like, you know, chips or a piece of fruit or that's it.
Um, what would you say is your guilty pleasure song?
My guilty pleasure song, you mean like I feel like I shouldn't like this, but I do, and I turn it really loud and dance to it in my living room? Probably Madonna Borderline. Have you ever heard that song?
I don't think I have.
Oh my God, you have to listen to it. It's killer to dance to by yourself in your living room. Do it.
Um, what is your most prized possession?
My most prized possession. I don't have that many prized possessions, to be honest. I'm not really. Oh, one thing I can think of is this ring that I'm wearing right now. Okay, this ring right here was my dad's ring, and he died. Like I said, I was a young adult when he died, and he died of cancer. And this ring it had, he got this ring when he came. He was an immigrant. He came from Taiwan, and he got this ring in graduate school. I think he came here and did his. He was an engineer, and so he came here when he was a young man in his mid 20s, and he wore this ring, and his name is actually engraved on the inside. His name was Huang, and if you look really closely, you can see it. And it also has a year on it, for the year that he got it. I guess I never really knew. There's a sigma. If you can look really closely, there's a symbol on there that's sigma. It's kind of funny because when I was a kid, I always thought this was M for marriage. I had no idea. But it's sigma for, I guess, some program he was in at his grad school. I don't even know. I should ask my mom if she knows. But when he died of cancer, lung cancer. He was a smoker, and his fingers swelled. He couldn't wear it anymore, and so he was okay if I asked him, can I take that, try to get that off your hand and take it and wear it because you can't wear it anymore. So I did take it, and he kind of gave it to me, and I've been wearing it ever since. So I love this ring. It just happens to fit me. He was, you know, kind of small, and so it fits me on my third finger. And that's probably one of my favorite possessions I have.
If you were immortal, what age would you want to stop aging at?
Ooh, wow, that's heavy. Um, I would say that I would probably want to stop aging somewhere. I think that the teens are really hard years. I really wouldn't want to stop aging in my teens. I would say even the 20s. It may sound like a long way off to a ninth grader. My second kid's a ninth grader right now, too. So you're about 14, right, Josie? That's your 20s, or you're still like just past your teens. And so I still felt like I was a kid my entire 20s. And so I would say somewhere in my 30s or 40s, somewhere in my 30s or 40s, it's like a really good happy medium where you're just a little bit more, at least for me, a little bit more like you know what you're doing, you know what you want. You're not afraid to ask for what you want. You're not afraid to go after what you want. And you're clued in enough to know that you I don't know, it's just a little bit easier. It does get a little bit easier. I know it can be hard in those earlier years when you're not so sure about what you're doing, and you feel like everybody else knows, but you don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to do it. And that's not really true. The truth is that nobody really knows, and everybody's sort of going through it. And you just don't realize that till you're a little bit older. So I would say that when you start to figure that out, life gets a little bit easier. At least it did for me.
What would you say is the strangest food you've ever eaten?
Well, let's see. I've eaten a lot of strange foods because my parents are from Taiwan, which is a culture where we eat all kinds of weird things. I don't even eat everything that they eat, but I would say one of the foods that I've tried that I don't like, but I've tried it, is blood. Believe it or not, they do serve that. They do serve that in Taiwan. In a soup or in a stew, you would get a piece of blood. And it tastes a little weird, and I don't really like it, but I think I did try it. Was that the question? What have I tried, or what do I like?
It was just tried.
Yeah, what do I tried? Yeah, that I don't really like it. I've also tried escargot, snail. I don't really like it. I've tried it. I what tried? I don't know. No, weird for me. I don't like it. And what I do like though, what I do like that's kind of weird is stomach. Pe- Chinese people eat, and some Mexican people eat tripe, right? Tribes, they eat it in soups and stuff like that. And actually, I really like that a lot. It can be really good. I used to teach physiology, and it was so much fun whenever we would dissect, because we would always end up in this discussion of foods that we've tried and eaten and loved, and it was just really fun.
What would you say makes you feel at peace?
What makes me feel at peace is, I would say, doing something out in nature with my family and loved ones and all being together and having fun, getting away from um, daily stresses and going on a hike or being out, looking at something beautiful like the ocean or the mountains, or sometimes we go, sometimes when we're camping or hiking, we're out there just seeing beautiful scenery and getting fresh air and being together.
Would you say that you stan with any celebrities or like resonate?
With any celebrities?
Yeah.
You mean like with something that they have stated politically, or is that what you mean? What do you mean by
Yeah.
stand with celebrities? Like if they, you mean particular celebrities?
Yeah.
I think that yes, there are certain celebrities that use their celebrity to make a political stance or make a stance some way. And I do think that there is often good that can come from that. I really do. Um, so I am not one of those people that believes that they shouldn't say anything. I don't believe that we need to necessarily believe everything everyone says, but I do have a lot of respect for people who use their power in certain ways. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you want me to give an example or anything like that?
Sure.
I mean, I can't really think of anyone off the top, but I think that I do really like it when someone takes a stand for something good. If they have that platform to use it, I do think that I like it. And I look up to that. If they're willing to say something, especially something that goes against the grain, and if they're willing to use, not necessarily have everybody agree with them right away, but I do think that that's a great thing.
Um, what would you say is the best dish you can cook?
Um, I do a really good. I make pot stickers, Josie, really good ones. And I finally made some the other day. I'll make them for you sometime. I finally made some the other day after a long time. Um, I I do. My mom taught me, and I can do from scratch. I mean, I don't make the wrappers. I buy the wrappers in the grocery store, but I make the insides. I make pork and cabbage pot stickers. Very authentic, with a really good dipping sauce, because it's all about the dipping sauce. And my dipping sauce is, well, I don't want to give away too many secrets here, but I'll make it for you sometime. And my dipping sauce is really good. It's all about the sauce. And I like it a little bit spicy.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, they're killer.
What is your opinion on modern art and why?
Not really a big fan of modern art, I got to tell you. When I was during college, I went to Europe with my girlfriend, and the two of us, we backpacked around Europe, and she was an art major, and we went around to all these modern art museums, and I was just not understanding the beauty with modern art. Do you know about modern art? They do some really weird stuff, and I'd rather look at regular art. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. If you had a personal assistant, what would you have them do?
Oh man, all kinds of things. Does it get to be a home personal assistant or professional personal assistant?
I don't think it really matters.
Oh, even better. I would have my personal assistant do things for me at home, or school. For school, I think I would have them, geez, whew, that's a good one. Go through my calendar, um, make appointments for me, clean up my junk mail and my email, help me organize my life. That's what I would do. And at home, I would have my personal assistant go stop by the grocery store for me. Maybe do some cooking. No, I don't know. Great ideas, though. You're putting into my head.
If aliens came to Earth, what would you do?
Um, I think if aliens came to Earth, I would definitely try to befriend them. And I say that because I don't want to I don't want us Earthlings to start a war with aliens, and they may very well be way more intelligent than we are. I have no idea. So I would want to know what they're about, and I would want us to see if we can have an alliance rather than an antagonistic relationship. Kind of like, like that movie E.T. Have you ever seen E.T.?
I haven't, but I've heard about it.
You must go watch E.T. It's an old classic, and it's kind of like there's this scene in that movie. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's this scene in this movie where the Earthlings are just assuming that they're dangerous and bad, or they don't want them to come. And I think
Okay. The last question is, what is your favorite vacation spot, and where would you want to go?
that's a hard one. When I think of my favorite vacation spot, for some reason, I think of a beach, and it's like a really pretty, quiet beach and it's really nice weather. So I'm thinking somewhere like, I've never been to the Bahamas, but I've been to the beaches in Mexico where it's like gorgeous and really warm and just a lot of natural beauty and not too crowded. I hate crowded vacations, and I don't like vacations where it's just like feeling like tons of people are around. And I also like to have a really authentic experience and get to know a new town where people actually live. So somewhere where I can, like, I loved um, getting to know a real city. Um, where people live and eating really authentic food and stuff like that. But I tend to envision like a beach, although I also like the mountains.
And where would you want to go?
Um, where would I want to go? Like the South Pacific area, the South Pacific Islands, someplace where there's hardly any people, but still an interesting place to explore. Somewhere like that. Islands in the South Pacific.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Miss Huang.
Thank you, Josie. And I'm recording this, so I guess after this, I'll find where the recording is and I'll send it to you guys. Okay?
Okay,
All right. Well, it was great talking to you, Josie.
great talking to you too.
Bye.
Bye.